Oh, we got a college football story to piss everybody off.
Woo! Maybe not me. Maybe I'm going to be excited.
What's up, boys? This is what I got to say today.
I still want somebody to call with something like that. ESPN, for what reasons, I don't know, other than to maybe do this.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right.
This is exactly what they were trying to do. They've accomplished their goal.
Look, I don't always partake, but I love a good random ranking anytime we get it.
How do you not?
And college football, I think, is going to be weird and exciting and awkward and fun and miserable. It's just got to be a combination of emotions this year.
Mm-hmm.
ESPN got through it and did their top 10 coaches ranking list. Did you go through this? Have you seen this yet?
I have seen this.
You did see it.
Oh, when I saw this and the rankings and where guys were, I gave this an immediate like, and I'm bringing it up on the show.
Kirby Smart's a no-brainer number one.
Yeah. Now, hold on. The only question I have now, there was an article form of this I did not read. I just saw like the people repurpose it on Twitter.
You just saw the top 10 tweeted out?
I just saw the top 10. So,
oh, God.
Well, in the article form,
You're
I'm
the
curious,
worst.
is there a like caveat to why they ranked them the way that they ranked them?
So here it is. They assign points. They send it out to their mass amounts of reporters.
Yeah.
Okay? Very little consensus. I will read this verbatim. The only other coach, okay, go la, 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 la. Here's how the points are assigned based on a reporter's votes.
Can we pull that? That's a good sound. That's a good drop. That's a good drop.
Sounds like I'm trying to talk underwater.
It does a little bit.
With points assigned based on reporters' votes, okay? 10 points for a first-place vote.
Okay.
9 for second. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Down.
So the question that I had, because we'll get to the list, but like there's certain people that show up and you're like, well, they haven't accomplished what other people have accomplished.
This is just a straight-up ranking.
Okay, where they're at right now, who you would take. Okay.
What have you done? I don't know. Have you done enough? I don't know. Have you done too much? Well, you get rewarded with that. I don't know how they just, who's your top 10 coaches?
Do it.
Kirby Smart, 1.
Yes.
Kalen DeBoer, number 2.
Bold move, Cotton.
Bold move. Can we think of anybody we'd put above that?
There's somebody that's not in the top 10 that I
think I know who you're going to say.
I just don't understand. I don't get it.
Okay.
I don't get it, and I would have him number 2.
I have somebody in the top 10 that I don't get it, and I don't understand it.
Okay.
Okay, Kalen DeBoer, 2. First controversy.
Yes, I would have Ryan Day number 2.
Number 3, Kyle Whittingham.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Now, I certainly understand the world of college football, especially now, is like how many titles you won. You've been to a national championship.
Yep.
We don't need to go through because everybody in our region knows Kyle Whittingham is as legit a coach as it gets.
With lesser resources, they won 8 games last year with their entire roster decimated by injuries and playing Pig Farmer as a quarterback.
He played second and third string quarterbacks at that position, still 8-5. He's consistent.
Yeah.
This is where you start to kind of lose me.
Uh-oh.
Number 4, Dabo Swinney.
Dabo Swinney. He's gay. Get you 2 of these, Bob. Get you 2 of these.
What year did he get the second one of those?
It's been a few years since he got the second one of these.
2018.
Long time
What
ago.
year is it?
I believe it is 2024, Brandon. 2024.
There's a kindergartner hasn't seen this guy win, okay? There's a kindergartner out there that's never seen Dabo win.
Yeah, when you start throwing Dabo in there for past success, this is why I was curious if there was like a caveat, because there's some names on here that feel more of a projection to the future of like if you were hiring right now, I would take this guy, but he doesn't quite have the resume that some others have. Dabo Swinney is all resume. He's playing in a terrible conference. He's been down for 3 or 4 years now. Hasn't made the playoff. Like that program's not in a great spot. And there's more animosity, I would say, towards him at Clemson than there is praise and support towards him.
Dabo received 4 second-place votes and was left off of 4 ballots altogether.
I mean, what are we doing here? Who is putting him as the second? If you're hiring, if I gave you a fantasy draft of college football coaches, there's not a soul on this planet right now that would take him number 2 overall.
Not with the transfer portal existing. No, thank you.
God, no, he won't use it. That's one of the ways to address your roster issues.
Yeah, so I think a lot of this, I remember, who was it? Who was the cat that used to cover the Ducks, and then he worked for USA Today, and then he just became like a minister or something? Schroeder, thank you.
George Schroeder's a minister now?
Maybe not a minute. I think he writes for a church or something.
Preaching, huh? Good for you, George.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if he's a preacher. I think he works for a church. Anyways, we had him on a couple years back, and he was at USA Today. And he did this same thing with Chip Kelly. And I remember seeing it like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're basing Chip Kelly from 2011 more than you are Chip Kelly right now.
If you want to rank the coaches who have accomplished the most over the last 15 years and you want to put Dabo Swinney in the top 3,
Yeah.
fine. He's got 2 national titles. There's other than Kirby and Nick Saban. I don't think there's anybody else that can say that. I'm okay with it. But as of right now and moving forward, God, no.
Mike Norvell is number 5.
Okay. I got no issue with that. He's won everywhere he's been.
Make a playoff.
He tried last year.
I know he got screwed.
He gave it an effort.
Said that jokingly. This is where some more controversy may arise.
Uh-oh.
Number 6.
Uh-oh.
Daniel Lanning.
What's his middle name? We got to find out his middle name.
It's got to be something like Micah.
We need to be able to do the whole Lanning name.
What do you think it is?
I'll see if I can pull up.
Dan
Arthur.
Lanning. Is it really?
Daniel Arthur Lanning.
Daniel Arthur Lanning. Sir Daniel Arthur Lanning of Eugene.
It's a pretty strong middle name right there.
It is pretty strong. He comes in at number 6. It says, while only 2 seasons of work might make Lanning's lofty ranking seem a bit premature, it's hard to argue what he's done in his first 2 seasons. After helping Smart win a title in 2021, he has guided the Ducks to a 22-5 record. So there is some question, but people basically saying he could be the next Kirby Smart, the defensive whiz kid who eventually busts through and wins it. So Lanning comes in at number 6. Some coaches behind Lanning.
Uh-oh, who's pissed?
Steve Sarkisian's number 7.
Yeah, I mean, you could flip those guys. He made a playoff this year. I wouldn't have any issue with that.
Okay.
I think Sark's got Texas clearly going in the right direction.
Number 8, Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss.
He's done a really good job at Ole Miss, man.
Yes.
And they're poised to be one of those teams this year that kind of a dark horse. Look out for them in the SEC.
11-2. That same record will get him in the playoff this year. So
Yes.
Ole Miss in the playoff, that would be a pretty big deal for Lane Kiffin. Number 9 is Lance Leipold of Kansas.
Hell yeah, brother.
Is it Leopold or Leipold?
I think it's Leopold.
Is it? I thought it was Leipold.
I don't know.
Lance Leipold.
Potato.
Swag, you're the name guy. Where are you at?
What's the there's
He's the Kansas football coach.
He's winning
I mean, he's winning. He's 9-4.
Okay, fine.
Somebody text Rob. He'll know the answer to this. There's also
I think it's Leipold.
there's like the sites and the military equipment. There's that same company though, and I get the two of them mixed
That's
up.
Loopold.
Loopold. That's
Is-
how you pronounce it.
yes.
Loopold.
It's not Leipold.
Yes.
It's not Loopold. I know that.
I think it's Leipold.
But I think they're spelled the same.
They are. It's.
Okay.
I think it's Lance Leipold. I'll go off on that hill. And number 10, Ryan Day.
Ryan Day. Okay, I thought the one I saw maybe insinuated he missed the top 10. So at least he was there.
These are the coaches that did miss the top 10. Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
Lincoln Riley. Boy, how the mighty have fallen.
Oh, who was right on that one? Everybody's coming around to my line of thinking.
I mean, get to a playoff.
Play defense.
Kirk Ferentz.
I mean, God, no, that's not a name missing from this list.
Luke Fickle.
No, not enough. No.
Eli Drinkwitz.
As a good coach, he's going in the right direction, but I
11
wouldn't.
wins last year.
Yeah, they're heading in the right direction.
Mac Brown. Mike Gundy. Jonathan Smith. Deion Sanders got
Yeah,
2
stop it.
votes on this.
Hey, come on.
Kurt Signetti of Indiana.
Never
and
heard
Chris
of him.
Kleiman of Kansas State. And then Tulane's coach.
I feel like Kleiman has an argument. That he's won at a high level.
He won the
every
Big 12 2
stop,
years ago.
Won the Big 12 2 years ago, and nobody picked him to win the Big 12. He's got Kansas State in a really good spot. The Ryan Day thing is hilarious to me. That guy goes 11-1 every year, and he had a problem with Michigan the last couple of seasons. There's no denying that. He also dominated the rivalry the couple of years before that. We don't remember it. He's won a playoff game. He's been to a national championship. He's producing NFL talent every year. He has a loaded roster going into next season. He's an elite recruiter. Like the guy has not lost. The guy's been there for like 6 years. He has not lost to a Big Ten team not named Michigan. What he has done is remarkable, but it's like the Calipari thing. If you don't win a national championship, you're a failure. That's the only thing that he can do, and so we downgrade him. Like there's nobody that would take Lance Leipold over Ryan Day. He's not a better college football coach than he is. He's doing a lot with less resources. That's the one that just it absolutely makes me chuckle to see how far down some lists he is.
Would you take Ryan Day or Dan Lanning?
I think you're flipping coins. Ryan Day has a much better track record than Dan Lanning just because he's been at it longer. I think the future's really bright for Lanning, and I know him showing up in the top 6 is going to piss a lot of people off, but I think that's more about to get to double-digit wins in both your first 2 seasons, to bring in a quarterback that everybody thought was going to be a wasteland, ended up turning into a Heisman Trophy finalist. They're upgrading the roster year in and year out. A lot of it's thanks to NIL, but
Top 4 recruiter.
Right, he's retooled the roster every year, and we talked about it at the start of last year. This was the big difference between him and Kalen DeBoer. Washington's roster was 80% guys that were recruited prior to Kalen DeBoer getting there. Dan Lanning's roster last year was 75% his team. He turned the thing over completely.
But
And
he chose to do that.
he did.
He
did
choose to.
I don't know if he had a choice. I don't know how much talent was on there, and I don't know outside of Trey Benson, how many of those guys that have transferred away from Oregon.
I don't know.
Have gone on to greener pastures.
I don't know. I don't follow these players mostly when they leave unless they go to a program like Ohio State, Michigan, etc.
So I think that's the argument for Lanning, is to see how he's built the roster, the way the defense improved from year 1 to year 2. And we do the whole, well, what does he want in his first 2 years? It's like, well, how many coaches in their first 2 years as being a head coach win something at the highest level? It doesn't happen very often.
Well, he's to that point right there. What has he done? I mean, he's won 81% of his games in 2 years.
He's 22-5. He won a Fiesta Bowl. He's been to a Pac-12 championship game.
Yeah, he's got 3 losses to Washington. I'm trying to. Oh, the Auburn or the Georgia loss, the
Georgia
3 to
loss.
UW,
Yeah.
and there's one more. He's 22-5.
Who's the other game? Who else
Who
did
we
they lose
blanking?
to last year?
Who are we blanking on?
The Oregon State blown lead. Civil War.
Thank you. Yeah,
Civil
thank
War with
you.
your stupid cowboy
Go
hats.
Beavs!
With your dumb cowboy hats.
Lunch pail you.
Acting like you're Oklahoma State. Go Cowboys!
We're a Big 12 team, baby. That's what we are. He gave him one of his 5 losses. I feel honored now.
And look, I'm all for the Lincoln Riley slander. I've been on that. I've been driving that bus for years now. He has to take defense seriously. It seems like it's trending in that direction, but we'll have to see it on the field this year. Him not being in the top 10 is a little laughable.
Well, but here's the hard part
It's
about
a little laughable.
the tough part about this. I think one,
Dabo Sweeney. I think everybody would take Lincoln Riley over Dabo Sweeney right now.
would they?
I would.
Okay.
In a heartbeat.
I'll put that as a poll question.
I mean, Dabo is a special teams coordinator who refuses to use the transfer portal. Lincoln Riley is one of the best offensive minds in football. He can't coach defense to save his life, but he's still a brilliant offensive mind.
I think you and I would probably have a different top 10, and we probably would agree on Dabo, but the fact that we get to 2 and it instantly becomes debatable, like how you weigh what Whittingham and Leipold do at Kansas and Utah
Sure, with lesser-
versus the guys that, like, Lanning is a good example. I think Lanning's a top 10. Like, if you were to say, if you had to pick a coach in college football to build with, and you made a top 10 list of that, is Lanning in your top 10? I would say probably, yeah, right? If your collective is together, you've got good backing, that guy can wheel and deal how he wants, yes. But Lanning didn't have to start at Kansas. Lanning worked his way up to be the D coordinator at Georgia and then jumped to Eugene at a pretty nice spot to land at. And I think that's the difficult thing of evaluating some of these guys is how do you differentiate Lance Leipold and what he's doing at Kansas
or Chris Kleiman.
or Chris Kleiman at Kansas State versus Dan Lanning at Oregon.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know there's big differences between the way that those institutions are run.
Budgets are slightly different.
Absolutely. So I think it's a weird combo to try to separate those two kinds of names. And so this list is always going to be debatable because is Kyle Whittingham better coached than Kalen DeBoer? Or is Kalen DeBoer's small sample size enough for you to say, with Saban gone, he's now the second best coach in college football?
Yeah, the number 2 ranking for me is interesting.
I was surprised, admittedly, and I make fun of Ryan Day. He won't stop dyeing his beard.
No.
I think it's weird. Embrace the gray.
He's got a leather jacket. He's riding a motorcycle. It's a midlife crisis.
My sister-in-law cuts my hair, and she cuts it this week and goes, you got a lot of grays. And I was like, I know, the salt's coming in nice.
Let's go. I'm going to be an old esteemed gentleman.
I'm not going to dye it. Ryan Day, I don't know how Ryan Day's not a top 10, not top 5 coach.
It's ridiculous.
Let alone top 10. He's top. Like, how is he not top 5?
He has proven that he can win year in and year out.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. The Kalen DeBoer stuff is fascinating, man. He had a remarkable 2 years at Washington.
And I know, and we don't need to get into this because we're already against it, but you and I have agreed to disagree, I think, on this. He did have a lot of that talent that was there. I was, I'll say, 4-win gutter bottom of the conference type team when he had to take that over for Jimmy Lake, who was smacking kids in the head.
Yeah.
And it just felt like, yeah, you can't win with this team. And he kept them, and then they won a lot. And it was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And then year 2 was national championship. That was eye-opening. I don't think any of us had that pegged. And so 2, I don't know, but I can kind of understand the voters in the thinking of Saban is gone now. How do we figure out who's after Kirby Smart?
There used to be a pretty easy pecking order when Saban was still in the game, and now that he's gone, Kirby clearly takes over the number 1 spot, and then it's an absolute crapshoot behind him.
I don't want to interrupt your next segment. I just want to ask you this, and it's kind of something to think about.
Ooh, we can keep talking college football. I'm all for it.
Think about this. With Saban gone, does it not make you look at stuff like this and go, who is going to grab the mantle? Is there going to be a person that takes hold of number 2? Does Ryan Day finally beat Michigan? go to a championship game this. I think Ohio State's the best team in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
I think Oregon's a close second. I just think Ohio State's a little more loaded. Plus, Chip Kelly is just the OC. Who is number 2? Is number 2 ever evolving door? Or does somebody grab the reins the way that Saban and Kirby did? And for a minute there, Dabo once upon a time. Or is this just a list that's going to keep changing year after year? Because I don't think Kirby Smart's going anywhere.
That to me is the scary part too. Does he grab hold of number 1 and just not let it go?
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of what I'm thinking too. Is like, will he just hold it the way Saban did?
Win the next 3 national titles.